Hi there, Karen here. This layout is all about what I did on my 60th birthday, and as you can see there's a few photos there. I went gliding for my birthday, and so I wanted to do a layout that just gave an idea of the feeling of the place. So I've created a bit of a quite a light touch mixed media background. I probably could have been a little bolder, but I'm always a little bit tentative with the mixed media. One of these days I'll really go mad with it. So I'm using the watered down version of the Dylusions ink spray called London Blue. The undiluted versions I find are a little bit too strong for me, so I've got a few bottles of them watered down. So this is the blue, just giving a bit of feeling of sky. And then I've got my water paints out. I'm just going to do a few light splatters. They don't really make an awful lot of difference, but they just give a little extra colour there, a little bit depth of colour. I'm just splotching it down. So I just wanted to get, I thought it looked quite, looked like there's some clouds up there, and I thought it looked okay. And then I thought I'd add a few more clouds. So this is some of the paper from Little by Little with the clouds. So I'm just going to fussy cut a few of these little cloud sets here. I do love a bit of fussy cutting. So I'm just going to cut these out. I'm not going to make you watch me do them all. It's just the first set. I love this paper with the clouds. I think this is my second sheet of it. I think this is the one that came in one of my kits, one of my hip kits. So before I stick them down, I'm now going to do the bottom half of the page where I'm going to make it look a bit like grass. And I think this is using Poison Jade. Again, it's a slightly watered down version, and it's still a pretty strong colour even for watered down. So I just sprayed a little bit on there, and then again I'm going to have a go with my little watercolour set. I've hardly used this watercolour set, and I thought it's time I got it out. And I'm just going to do a few grass strands just dotted about, just so that to give the idea of that we're in a field. And it was the most beautiful day. We were very lucky. My birthday can be all sorts of different weathers. I've had more often rain on the last few years than sunshine, but this particular day was glorious, and we were very lucky. And we were gliding all day. We went up 3 times, and it was just the most amazing experience. So here I am just laying out the clouds just to see how they look with against the little blue background, and I think that looks okay. I don't think it needed any more than that. And here I am just laying out the photographs that I want to use. So the first set of 3 on the left are just me sitting in the glider, ready for my flight, probably for my first flight. And then the other set of 3 is pictures of the plane taking off. So it's just as it's being pulled up into the air by the little they call it, I've forgotten what they call it, it'll come back to me, the plane that pulls you up. It's got a name, but I can't remember what it was. So I'm just going to I've stuck my 3 photos. I've decided to do them as a single set together and put them onto a piece of vellum, and then I'm backing them onto some green tissue. I thought the idea was that they're the ones while I'm on the ground, sitting on the grass, so I've got green tissue as the background. It's a bit tricky to use the guillotine on, so in the end the scissors came out just to trim it off there. I'm just going to trim it down at the sides. Doesn't need too big, just to get a little hint of green background. And then the other 3 photos are going to be, again, I'm going to back onto vellum. And then I had a piece of blue, slightly shiny, slightly sparkly paper that I had in my stash. So I thought that would give the idea of the sky, because the planes are just going up into the sky. So it's my fanciful notion that the blue background suggests the sky. So just trimming that down. And that's going to be, and I'm just going to have them at a little bit of an angle going each way. And now I'm going to stick on my clouds now. Yep, they're just going to get stuck on up there. There they are, stuck on. I'm just going to tuck each of the photo collections under a cloud, just to bind it all in, just thought it looked better tucked in there. And now I found this, I went through all my die cuts and I just picked out a few things that I thought might work, and I rather like this crazy. It goes really well against the colour of the grass there. It kind of blends in, but you can see it, and I thought I must use that, because people kept, when I told people what I was doing, they kept saying, looking at me as if to say, what on earth are you thinking, going up in a glider? Are you mad? People even said I was brave, and I thought that was mad, really, to think that, because it's not being brave. You're with an instructor, you're not going up on your own. But I think a lot of people thought it was a slightly mad thing to do. So I do actually do a little bit of journaling, or a little like a subtitle, really, I suppose, to that effect, using the word crazy. And I'm just trying out a few die cuts that I picked out. Just went through all my old bits and pieces. I found some quite old stuff, and that little sheet with planes and clouds on, that was a gift from one of my scrapbook friends for my birthday. So I thought I've really got to use it. It would just go perfectly on this page. So I do use one of the planes and some of the clouds on this page. So now I'm sticking down the photos, just tucking it under there. That's it. And sticking down the other ones. And then I should just work on doing a little embellishing all around. That would have worked, but it wasn't really saying what I needed it to say as far as the title goes. I like that Amazing Right Now, and it would have been as a possible title, but I actually wanted to say something about what I'm actually doing. And I picked out these blue glittery foam stickers, which are in the Fitzgerald font. It's one of my favourite sets of stickers. I've also had them in more of a tealy colour. This is a real lovely blue, and I thought it went very well with the colours on the page. And I'm doing the title Gliding here, and it's actually a phrase that comes from a film, Miss Congeniality. It's one of our favourite films, and it's one of those silly little phrases that me and the girls have often used here and there, or substituting other words for gliding, or I just seem to fit gliding here, because that's a direct quote from the film. It's one of our favourite films. So that's what I'm going to call this page. And now I'm doing my little bit of journaling. That's just a little piece of card that I think I cut out and did a little edge to, little punched edge there. So it's sitting in my stash for some time, and I'm just saying that just explaining that I'd had the idea of going gliding for my birthday, probably about 18 months ago, and now it was finally here after I've been waiting all that time, and it was more than, it was a fantastic experience, and it had exceeded all my expectations. And I'm just typing. There was another little die cut. I think that's from Maggie Hammer's Craft Market. I think, was it Craft Market? And it's a little die cut that says August, and the date was 29th. I've just added the 29. You can't really see it very well, but it's in a glittery gold pen, and I've just put that on there. And now I'm putting on my little, I suppose you'd call it a little subtitle, with a variety of small letter stickers. And I've just said, and they said I was crazy. I'm just sticking the crazy on. But it wasn't crazy. It was really great fun, really good fun. I recommend it. And I think I've used these arrows just because on the left it's showing that the eye is taking the eye down. Gradually the photographs are getting closer and closer in, and then the other arrow is going up because that's the plane taking off. So the idea is it takes your eye down and then back up again to the sky. And I've got a few other little die cuts I've just found, things like Never Forget This, and the colours seem to work quite well, and it was an unforgettable experience. So I'm sticking that on, And oh, what fun. I thought that little die cut worked quite well there. Just covers the join in those photos, between those photos. And I think I will put it on little foam in a moment. So I'm just trying out a few things that might go in this little space between the two sets of photographs. I had that little plain die cut, but it's just too big. I couldn't get it to work. It just looked, it somehow I didn't think it quite fit there. So that has to go. And then I found this little ticket called Our Adventures. So I like that. So that's going to go in. So I'm committing to the little bit of journaling. I couldn't make that little die cut work. It says Top of the World. The colour was wrong. It was yellow, and there wasn't really any yellow on the page. So I didn't use that in the end. And this little plain, it was a bit smaller, a bit neater. It just tucked in. I didn't put a lot of embellishing here, just a couple of little bits, just to fill that space between the two sets of photographs. Just felt that little area just needed a little to pull them together, really, to join them together. And I'm never going to forget it, so that worked well. And now I'm going to stick down my title, and there it is, gliding here, in the words of Sandra Bullock. And now my arrows are going on, and I think the next thing will be, what am I going to put on next? Oh, choosing the aeroplane. I've decided to go for that orange one just to make it pop a little bit, and it brought in the colour from the tag, the Never Forget This tab as well. So it just gave another little pop of colour, and orange and blue always go well together. And then I'm just adding a few little fluffy clouds. They're quite, they're made of felt, so they're a little bit, look a little bit fluffy. And just putting a little bit of foam on the back of that Oh What Fun die cut to make it just stand out a little bit. And now I'm getting out a few sequins. So I've got a few green ones just to scatter around the lower half of the page to bring out the green. Not sure what that one's doing up there. It won't stay there. I've just sort of scattered a few, but I shall bring them down a bit. So there'll be green ones, that's it, down on the bottom half, and then I've got some blue ones to scatter around the sky. And now I'm doing a little bit more of a few splatters from that London blue. It's not showing very well. I think I end up doing some splatters with some of the full one, the one that's a bit darker, because they're not really showing up terribly well. Just splattering in between a few spaces there. And that's it. And now I've got this little bowl of confetti. These all little tiny shiny 60s. They were scattered all over the table at my scrapbooking day. I had a scrapbooking day with my friends from the club that I go to, and they'd covered my table with this 60 confetti, which was great fun, but it was a bit of a job to clear it so I could actually do my scrapbooking. And they decorated the hall with balloons and banners, and it was lovely. And I decided I was going to try and get these little tiny shiny 60s into as many of my birthday layouts as I could. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding a few. You can see it's actually a bit later in the evening. We're getting towards autumn here, and I've got a bit chilly, so I've put a cardigan on or jacket on. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this layout, and do join me again soon. Goodbye.